Okay, so first we're going to learn about how to combine like terms. So like terms, you're like, it's been a long summer. I don't even know what a like term is anymore, so we're going to talk about that. This is all stuff you've learned in secondary math 1. I'm going to kind of treat it like you haven't. We're going to stay pretty dang basic for today. Now notice on your worksheet, it's a blank front side. That's what you're going to be taking notes on this time. Most of the time you'll just take it in your own notebook, but today we're going to do it on this. Okay, guys, so a like terms. We're going to be combining like terms, meaning adding and subtracting like terms. So what are like terms? So like terms have the same base and the same power. So same exponent. So I'm going to show you an example of what I mean, but I'm going to read that one more time. They have the exact same base and the exact same power. So for example, x, I got to get my pen. Okay. X squared, for example. This is the base, this is the exponent. Now if I have 2x squared, it still has base x and it still has the same exponent. So these would be like terms. We can add them and subtract them. But we're going to stay actually really basic today and only do linear terms, just because this is secondary math 1 and you didn't learn quadratics in secondary 1. We're going to stay with linear. So two like terms would be like, for example, x and x. Those are like terms. They have the same base. The base is x. What is the exponent? What's the power on x? So I hear 0. Do I have any other guesses? Yes? So you're guessing power 2. Okay, any other guesses? What's the power on x? Any other guesses? 1. That one is correct. Good guesses. All of them are good guesses, but you're absolutely correct. X, if it doesn't have a power up here, it goes without being said that there is a 1. Does that make sense? And I promise when we get to the examples, it'll make more sense. We're not there yet. Okay, so the rule is, now don't write down the rule necessarily, because when we get to the example problems, you're going to be like, oh, this is way easy. Okay? If you have like terms, if you're sure you have like terms, you can combine them just as any other number. So I'm going to give you an example, and then this will make sense. Okay, what is 1 plus 1?
2.
It's 2, okay. You're right, so 1 plus 1 is 2. Those were like terms. Is P and P like terms? And we know if we have like terms, we can add them. So P and P, those are like terms. They're base P and to the first power. So we have a P plus another P. How many P's?
2P.
2P. Very good. 2 P's. 1 P plus another P is 2 P's. So an apple plus an apple, how many apples do we have?
2.
An apple plus an apple, how many apples do we have?
2 apples.
2 apples. Those are like terms. Does that make sense? Everybody, you get like terms. Okay. So we have B plus B plus B. How many B's do we have?
3B.
3 B's. Any questions on that? Okay, so then now that we're getting how this goes, let's do a little bit harder. 10 A's minus 5 A's. How many A's do we have? 5 A's. 10 minus 5 is 5. We're talking A's though. So 10 A's minus 5 A's is 5A. So if I say like terms, I'm going to say apples. We have 3 apples plus 3 apples. How many apples would we have? 6 apples. Okay, it's really that simple. Like terms are. Okay. All right, moving on because we're doing linear terms today. Really simple. All right, guys, do problems 1 through 5 on the worksheet. Now, this is where it is appropriate to talk to your neighbor, ask them for help, see if they're getting the same answer as you.
I don't think I have the right paper.
You're supposed to pick up the worksheet as well, right over there. So go grab one.
Oh, that would be I was. I thought.
So this right now is exactly when you should talk to your neighbor. Say, hey, will you help me? Or what answer did you get? I got this. This is the appropriate time to talk. I'm totally cool with you talking now. Work quick, fast, and in a hurry because we will move on with or without you when I feel like we're ready. Nice. Awesome. Way to go. Very good.
I mean, just kidding. 2.
That's I think yeah, I think so.
3.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
With the 2x plus the x, that just be 3x.
Good. Yep. Very good. 2x's plus 1x would be 3x. Very good. Good question. All right, check with your neighbor. Did they get the same answer as you?
Yes, x plus x. So we have an apple plus an apple. That'd be 2 apples, right? So that'd be 2x.
Okay, awesome. Any questions on those ones? Any questions on those ones? Okay, moving on. So I need you to bring it back to me. Now this is where it would not be appropriate for you to move on the worksheet or to talk. You would be right up here with me taking notes again. I flip my worksheet over, taking good notes. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to plot these points. We have point A. We have 3 different points, first of all. The red point, the green point, and the blue point. So our red point is point A. So we have point A, 1, 5. We have point B, -2, -3. And we have point C, -2, 5. You definitely should know how to plot points by now. We're going to go through it really slow to make sure we're good to go, though. So the first thing I want to say, guys, is points are in the form x, y. So I'm going to go through and look at point A. I have 1, 5, so this is x, y, x, y. I'm going to go on to point B. This is point x, this is point y. I'm going to go over to this. This is x, y. Does everybody understand that points are in the form x, y? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So now we can just go through and plot the points. So on your guys' paper, there's not a graph like this, a graph. So I would just draw a rough graph, because for the most part, you guys all know how to do this, and it doesn't need to be perfect for notes, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plot point A. Actually, before I do that, though, can anyone tell me, looking right here, what is this? Is this the x or y axis? That's the x. Left and right is our x points. Very good. And then, so what is up and down? Y. Very good. These are going to be our y's. So these are our x's. These are our y's. Awesome. So let's go ahead and plot point A. A is 1, 5. I'm going to do it in red just so that we can keep track. So can anyone tell me how to do that?
Go over 1 up 5.
Good. So you guys said, I heard someone say go over 1 up 5. So you saw those were both positive. Very good. So you said over to the right 1, because that's positive 1. And then up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Any questions on that? Why I put that there? We're going to be really careful with positives and negatives. So moving on to point B, we have -2, -3. So starting at the middle, which is called the origin, where am I going to go? Left 2. We're looking at the green point, and then what? Down 1, 2, 3. They were both negatives, so I went back 2 and then down 3. That's -2, -3. That's point B. Awesome. And our last point is point C. So once again, I'm going back to the origin, which just means the middle, and I'm going to plot my points from there. So where am I going, guys? Back 2, and then what? Ooh, good. You caught that. It's a positive 5, so up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's point C. You guys, if you have questions, just ask them. No one will think you're dumb. Any questions on how to plot points? Okay, awesome. Do these problems on the worksheet. You are free to talk. Ask each other for help. Check your answers with your neighbor. You can even check your answers with me. If you raise your hand, I'll come and see if you are looking good.
These numbers are really small.
Yeah, they are a little small. The nice thing is with the grid, you can count if you had to. So right now you can absolutely be talking, asking your neighbor for help. So once again, points are in the form x, y. Make sure you label your points. If you plotted those, great, but go back and label them. So I'm going to make a statement here. Looking good. Notice how you connected them and drew a line. Not necessarily, we were just graphing 2 points. So you just went a little too far. Does that make sense? But it's okay. You got the points, right? Because those are just 2 points, not necessarily a line. If it was a line, that's great. But you'd probably be a little bit more specific on it. But we'll get to that later. All right, let's see. It's looking good out there. Looking good. Have you checked with your neighbor? Did they get the same answer as you?
Let's compare answers.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, we'll move on then. Just another second or two. Shh. Okay, are we all ready to move on? Okay, awesome. Okay, so once again, this would be the inappropriate time to talk. Flip back over. You'll be taking notes. Do not move on. We got to get used to going back and forth. But once again, I'll set you free to work in just a second. Okay, so this looks kind of scary. It's a lot of information. It's really detailed because we're just talking, but we're going to stay really basic. But I just got to remind you about lines. So you became experts in lines with secondary math 1. So lines have the form y is equal to mx plus b. How many have seen that before? There's no way you haven't. So you should all be raising your hand. Lines have the form y is equal to mx plus b. Where m is the slope, so in the equation, that m part is where our slope is on our line, and our b is where our y-intercept is. So y-intercept is the easiest one of them all because it is exactly what it says. So it's called the y-intercept. Intercept means crossing. Intercept means hitting. So y-intercept means it's crossing the y-axis. So I just want you to look right now, not be writing, because this will just make sense. I just want to show you. So does everybody see how the y-intercept is purple? Just in general, we're really touching the basics here. Look at my green line. Does everybody see where I highlighted purple? Does everybody see why that's the y-intercept? That's where it's crossing the y-axis, right? This is the y-axis right here, right? Does everybody see where that's crossing the y-axis? Awesome. We're just staying basic. Now everybody look at the red line. I highlighted purple where the y-intercept is because it's intercepting the y-axis. Does everybody see how right there the highlighted purple is the y-intercept? Are we all good with that? Okay. And back to slope. Let's talk a little bit about slope. So we can have either an increasing line or a decreasing line. And in the equation, you will know right away because if it's positive, if it's just that number, if there's not a negative in front of it, then it's a positive slope. So that means that it's increasing. So everybody look at my green line. Does everybody see how that's increasing? Now look from left to right. Look from left to right. If I'm walking, am I going to be walking on the green line? Am I going to be walking uphill or downhill? Uphill. Awesome. So that would be increasing. Does everybody see how that's an increasing line? Awesome. Now decreasing line. This is the red line. Now we're looking from left to right. If I was coming, would I be walking down the hill or up the hill from left to right? Down the hill. So that would be a decreasing negative slope. So if there's a negative in front, it's going downhill. If there's not a negative, it goes without being said that it's positive, so that would be uphill. Okay, so we're staying way basic. Let's just go to an example, and we're staying way basic today with that. We don't need to get way in depth with this yet. We will later. Okay, so let's get to our example here. It says, find the slope, the y-intercept, and state if the slope is positive or negative. So over here on the side, notice I have the equation of the line, which you just wrote down a second ago. You don't need to write it down again. This is our slope. This is our y-intercept, right, everybody? Are you following me? Don't zone out. Yes or no? Is this what we just learned?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so let's do example number 1. So I write down the example number 1 right here. Y is equal to 3x minus 4. Write that down. Y is equal to 3x minus 4. All right, looking at this equation, what is my slope?
3.
3. You're absolutely correct. Could you maybe clarify why you knew it was 3? Not anything in depth. You were right. Nothing in depth. Just why did you know that that was the slope?
Because I memorized it.
Because you know, okay, so she knows this equation, right? And you know that that's where the slope is. Does everybody see how I underlined it in red and it's in the same spot as my equation where red is? Does everybody understand that? Okay, so our slope is 3. You're absolutely correct. Well, what's my y-intercept?
The y-intercept's going to be 4. Negative 4.
Good, very good. She corrected herself right there. The y-intercept's going to be negative 4. Does everybody see how I outlined that in purple and it goes with in the equation where the y-intercept is? Does everybody see how it's just placement? It's very simple to see. Awesome. Okay, so no questions on that? Okay, is this a positive or negative slope? It's positive. How'd you know that?
Because the slope is positive.
The slope's positive. How'd you know that? You're absolutely right.
No negative sign.
No negative sign. Who said that? Awesome job. You're so smart. No negative sign in front of 3, so it must be positive. Awesome. Okay, moving on to our next example, example number 2. What is my slope?
4. Negative 4.
Negative 4. Very good. Does everybody see where once again the red lines up with the slope on my equation? Okay, let's go on. What's the y-intercept?
2.
Positive 2. So I'm going to write 2. And is the slope positive or negative?
Negative.
It's negative, and you knew that because why?
The slope's negative.
The slope is negative. Very awesome. You guys are so smart. Hey, if you really have a question, please ask, because I won't know what to answer if you don't. Okay, awesome. All right, so you're going to do problems 8 through 11 on the worksheet. You guys, when you're finished, you're going to be taking this home to show your parents or guardian what you learned today. Get this signed and bring it back completely finished by, well, not tomorrow. I guess we'll have it in on A-Day. Then also explain to them my website because they could watch this video lesson if they wanted. All right?
I have a question.
Yeah, I'll be right over. Okay, 8